Good morning, beautiful spirit. Rector Arundel here with Abel Spirit to me, and I am Abel. Soham, Hansaha, Swāhā. Welcome back. We are on chapter 4 of the book On the Path, an energetic approach to enlightenment. And chapter 4 is the ultimate goal, breaking the system. Now this chapter is a little bit complex, so we are going to take it slowly, and I'm going to be putting this into at least 2 videos because it's also kind of long. Let's jump right in. We have already discussed that the only solution to eternal happiness is to untie this mind knot and dissolve the ego so that we can reconnect with our divine self, which is the Atma, and reconnect to the universe or source. When we do this, we have a direct line of communication with infinite knowledge. Now, as humans, we always think of things as finite. We cannot fully conceptualize the infinite, but we can generate ideas that point in the correct direction. So infinite is a common term used right now, and it's difficult to comprehend because it is beyond comprehension. So let's talk about some analogies. If we have a white piece of paper and draw a white dot on it, there is no obvious dot at all. Now, if we draw a black dot, then we can begin to see something. There is the duality of positive and negative. And once again, we have to keep our minds open and unbiased when we discuss these concepts. I do not mean negative as bad and positive as good. They are both necessary. There is not a duality, truly. They are simply different from one another, so they can be recognized. Now imagine everything you know and everything that every being in existence has experienced is contained inside a box. This is what we'll call the finite or the known. Now everything outside the box expands out forever. This is everything not yet known. This is the infinite. Now neither is bad. We simply have some experience of finite knowledge, and then there is the never-ending expansion of the unknown, which is the infinite. Once we dissolve our ego, enough of it anyway, we can reconnect to the infinite, of which we have no knowledge or experience currently. We have a direct access to absolute truth, and it is beyond finite understanding. Once we name it or define it, it becomes finite. And this is why there are so many opinions and descriptions of enlightenment out there. No one can accurately describe the indescribable. The infinite has no judgments of bad or good. It has no little boxes of classification. There is no such thing as solid, liquid, or any other limiting concepts. Once you are connected to the infinite, there is no such thing as impossible anymore. Now this is very liberating for the Atma, the soul, and terrifying for the ego, because the ego is strengthened by fear. Now I bring this up to try to paint a picture of enlightenment and connection to the infinite, but also in order to explain what we must do in this known physical existence in order to transcend the ego. Again, we are not saying the physical world is bad, or that the ego is bad. In fact, the ego is very full of experiences. These experiences give us feelings toward things. Now these also are not bad. Many spiritual aspirants try to get rid of their emotions because they see great religious figures that seem to be free of all negative emotions. Now this is an incorrect assumption of what was happening. It is similar to what we do with science. We cannot prove otherwise, so we make assumptions as to what was occurring. In reality, I believe these religious figures embraced these feelings and used them to break the ego system. Now, we are energy, as we have surmised, and there are multiple layers of this energy, and it can actually get very complex if a real and comprehensive understanding is desired. However, it can be simplified for this conversation. Now, we already discussed that everything has consciousness to a certain degree, and the first step of this consciousness becoming material is thought. Now remember that consciousness isn't really thought. Consciousness is the awareness of the thought. Now you're usually aware of your thoughts, but you can be aware without thought and have thoughts without awareness. Now this may take a second to comprehend, but there are moments when you are observing your world and not thinking about anything. For example, if I told you to listen carefully, for those few seconds right there, you were very aware of your surroundings, but you were not thinking. So there are moments when you are observing your world and not thinking about anything. This is consciousness without thought, or commonly known as no mind. And for this conversation, you may also call it trance. So no mind is a very Buddhist and New Age term for clearing your mind of all thoughts. And trance is a very old age Hindu term for getting in the right state of mind for meditation. Now, there are literally thought clouds floating around you at all times. These thoughts aggregate like large bubbles and fill a real space in both the physical world and non-physical. And this can almost singly explain the actions of a large crowd in an emergency, as we mentioned in the last chapter. If the mind is blank, like when caught off guard, which means you're in no mind or trance, thoughts that are from the inside, are from not inside, can take precedence, and this can happen without your awareness. Hence, you may have unconscious actions manifesting themselves physically while your consciousness was not aware. For example, I don't remember running over here and stopping the kid from being hit by that truck. That type of scenario. Now, a whole universe of existence applies to thoughts. You could even call it a dimension if you were so inclined. In other words, you have a presence that exists in this thought world, and you navigate through thought clouds in space. You could call this your thought body, mental body, or causal body. This is level 1 in creating your own personal experiences. So, all those terms, thought body, mental body, and causal body, are used throughout different religious backgrounds and New Age practices, but they all refer to your thoughts and your ability to navigate through thoughts in space. Now, on the next level, after the thoughts, there are emotions. These emotions are your ego's response to its environment. So emotions are your mind's reaction thoughts to experiences, and emotions are not bad. In fact, they are part of existence and the key to your own liberation. Your thoughts are the necessary precursor to the emotions generated from your experiences. And you need these emotions because they provide the energetic charge of your existence. Energetic charge. The stronger you feel about something, the more energy you have. For example, if someone were to abuse someone you love, you have a very high amount of energy at that moment. Now, how you use it is what matters. You may have quote-unquote negative thoughts toward who did it, and you may be angry at the situation, but this is not bad. And negative is not bad. It is simply another type of energy. Now, we have been convinced that anger and jealousy, etc., are bad by the powers that be, so we do not learn this secret. There is righteous anger to help someone being abused or to improve a situation. Jealousy can also be used and transformed into motivation for self-improvement, to work harder than you ever have before. So all the different types of energy caused by the different emotions are actually key to your power and liberation. All the emotions are energy and necessary. If you block out or ignore any emotion, you will be wasting and missing out on multiple fuel energy resources. All emotions are filtered through the various energy centers in your body. And here we introduce the term chakra. It's the Sanskrit word for spinning wheel. And you have these energy centers in your body. You actually have a lot of chakras and energy pathways, but we're focusing on just the 7 main ones right now. So the charge literally folds and manipulates the fabric of reality to create your physical body and your reality. So now that was a big sentence to swallow, so here's another way to put it. Your thoughts, which again consists of your thought body, mental body, or causal body, lead to emotions which are charged with energy. This emotional energy surges through the energy centers, the chakras, in your body. All of these energy centers make up what is suitably referred to as your emotional body. And again, we have other terms that are synonymous, meaning they are the same thing, astral body or solar body. They are another terms referring to your emotional body, your power body, if you will. In turn, this energy going through the energy centers creates your physical body. The desire to change your reality by the ego causes you to have a physical body and thereby have the ability to change your environment. It is also what allows you to perceive your reality by your nervous system and senses. Now, finally, you, the soul, or the Atma, has an energetic body, which is also called the spiritual body or the light body. And this body controls and animates the physical body you inhabit. So there are multiple layers. Once again, the 4 layers that intermingle and apply here are the thought body, the emotional body, the spiritual body, and the physical body. And they go from more subtle to more physical. You actually have even more bodies as well, like the etheric body, but we do not need to discuss them for this concept because it is already confusing enough. Now the goal is to show the steps from thought to physical manifestation in your being. And for a little more completeness and consistency in this book, I'm going to introduce you to another word, Sushumna. Now, Sushumna is a very popular term in Kundalini Yoga because they're using this Kundalini energy to change themselves, and we're going to talk about that. But Sushumna has been esoterically referenced as the center of the universe. And in fact, it is actually an energetic pathway inside of you. It runs vertically through the center of your spine and through all of your chakras, according to old sources, again, Kundalini Yoga, etc. Now, it has physical as well as metaphysical aspects, but you could say that your spinal cord is a physical manifestation of Sushumna. Now, every experience you have comes from your senses, and your senses all come from your nervous system. So, the spinal cord is the center of your personal experience of the universe, and this relates to the bodies just discussed. Thoughts go down from the top of your spine, from your upper energy centers, and are slowly changed to emotions in the midway area of Sushumna around your heart, and turn more material as they go down through your lower energy centers and out into the physical world. So, your consciousness has thoughts that go down Sushumna and are changed into your reality. They go through the energy centers and different bodies on the pathway before coming out into reality. Again, these energy centers are called chakras, and these centers can be blocked or distorted by memories of the past that bias your expectations of the world. These distortions are caused by the ego. There is also a physical component in which blockages and distortions are passed on to you by your family. Once again, you could call these distortions karma. Blockages, karma. These distortions also affect your perceptions because the nerves and senses go through these energy centers, and this is part of Maya as well. So that can be kind of difficult to understand. Here we go. You are not perceiving anything perfectly so long as you have biases and karma. So, what you expect to happen is going to bias how you're perceiving things. Everyone has their own perspective on what happened in a situation, right? So if you have no ego, all of the chakras are perfectly pure, you have no karma, you have no distortions, and your pure consciousness goes from the top of Sushumna and down and out to create a pure paradise. Your experience of the world, your reality, is a reflection of how distorted the energy is in your chakras before it comes out into being. So you can see that there's a system in which our existence as humans functions. People who are said to have a sixth sense can simply tune into the other bodies and chakras and perceive things on those levels better than others who are mostly tuned into the physical body only. Additionally, other so-called superhuman extrasensory paranormal powers and siddhis are a result of tuning into and charging these other bodies. There are various ways to achieve these abilities, and siddhis are not the goal of this book, but in Chapter 7 I have listed a book that tells you how to gain them if you're interested. So we are teaching you to clear out the blockages, the distortions in your different bodies that are going to change your existence on Earth. It's going to change how you perceive Earth, I should say your universe really, and how you actually create. It's going to change everything because you're changing the blockages in the energy system. Siddhis are attained by ramping up your ability to use different chakras and thereby using different bodies to perceive and to manipulate reality. Now, we are going to describe the action mechanism of breaking the ecosystem. If you do not try to break the system, you will continue to have rebirth after rebirth on the physical plane over and over again until you have had enough. Now, this is due to the mind and attachment and aversion which create karma. This is exactly what you and I, and most everyone else you know, is doing right now. We are living physical lives over and over until Maya has tortured us enough to say that we are ready to find something more. So again, this is the gift of Maya. It keeps happening until you have realizations on your own timeline. So if nothing I'm telling you right now is interesting to you or hitting a note, then it's not your time yet, and you can choose to keep enjoying life. If you're enjoying life, great. If you're not, this is how we improve life, okay? The key to breaking the system is to learn to overwhelm it. The entire book, up to here, has led up to this moment because you must understand everything up to this point to understand it. We're going to stop this video now and start the next video with how to break the ego system.